What's happening, people, and welcome to another episode of Riley's Talk. We have an intriguing matchup this weekend for you. It is the Chicago Bears against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, although both teams come into this game with losing records, this game has huge playoff implications. And on top of that, it is a divisional matchup. So guess what? Both of these teams know each other very, very well. On top of that, whoever loses this game this week pretty much can kiss their playoff hopes goodbye. So before we get into the slides, do me a favor as always, hit the like and subscribe button and please share this video. So let's get right into it. Again, this is an NFC North matchup, but also what I like to call a playoff eliminator. Now, as we can see, the Packers are just pretty much running away with this division. But you have the Vikings and the Bears right below them at both 6-7 records. So as I say again, whoever loses this game, they are pretty much eliminated from the NFC playoff picture. I mean, I think might still be mathematically alive, but anybody with common sense knows that whoever loses this game is essentially done for the season. So let's get into the teams. The Vikings and the Vikings offense. Now, the Vikings offense is pretty decent, actually. They're 8th in total offense, but more importantly, they're 6th in run offense with Dalvin Cook, who is by far and away one of the best running backs in the league. Now, we can debate if he's first, second, or third, but he's definitely one of the big studs in the entire league. Now, they're also 17th in passing, which is kind of the lower tier of the NFL. That's primarily due to Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, if you've watched him over the years, he has his days where he can be great, he has his days he can be good, and he has his days where he can be downright awful. So right now, he's doing what Kirk Cousins do. Hover somewhere into the middle of the pack. So that's one of the reasons probably why the Vikings have the 17th ranked passing offense. Now, the Vikings defense. This has pretty much been the Vikings' problem all year. They're 23rd ranked total defense. They're 26th against the pass and 20th against the run. As you can see, I mean, anytime you start getting into 20s of anything, that definitely means you're not good in this particular category. So all across the board, the Vikings defense is less than good. I mean, they're not good at all. They give up a lot of big plays and a lot of points. So we're going to go to the Bears here real quickly. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket science to know about the Bears and their offensive struggles. They have the 27th ranked offense in the entire league, 24th ranked passing offense, which I am really kind of shocked that it's that high, especially between them switching between Trubisky and Knowles. And then they have the 22nd ranked run offense. I mean, it is no secret again that the Bears offense has its struggles. But what keeps the Bears in games is defense. At the 13th ranked total defense. Now, in my opinion, this stat here is a little bit skewed, and I'm going to get to that in a second. So, they also have the 17th ranked run defense, and they're middle of the pack with the 15th ranked pass defense. So, they don't give up the most yards in the world in the passing game, but they could definitely be better. Also, again, a couple of weeks ago, they had to play the Green Bay Packers, and I think this stat here was inflated a little bit because of that particular game. So, this game is going to come down to a game within a game. Now, I just showed you pretty much the team stats, but let's get a little bit deeper and contrast a few things, especially certain things you don't see that pop up into the stat category. Number 1, TOP, time of possession. Both the Vikings and the Bears are numbers 15 and 16 in the entire league in possessing the ball, with the Bears slightly below the Vikings at 29 minutes and 27 seconds, and the Vikings have the ball for 12 seconds more. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that does not sound like that big of a gap, but late in the fourth quarter, if I'm sitting there with 12 seconds left on the clock, that could mean the difference between me losing the game or at least getting the shot downfield to set up a field goal, or at worst case scenario, a Hail Mary. Now, the Bears, they've only allowed 9 rushing TDs all season. That's good for 5th best in the league. So teams are not running the ball like crazy against the Bears. On top of that, the longest run they've given up all year is 37 yards. But most of their runs, if you get an 8 to 9 yard run on the Bears, you're doing pretty good. So they don't give up a lot of big running plays. But now if you contrast that to the Vikings, They're 13th in rushing TDs in the entire league. They have 15 rushing TDs on the ground. So they're typically a little bit better than average in that department. So this game is definitely something within the game you need to pay attention to. This right here. Now, the Bears, they are 16th in sacks in the entire league. They have a total of 30 sacks over the amount of games that they've played so far. At the same time, the Vikings are 18th in sacks allowed. So they give up a decent amount of sacks. They've given up 31 this year. So again, this is another stat that when you compare and contrast, it gets a little bit deeper within the game. Excuse me. So let's go to a part of special teams. Punting. I mean, because of the Bears' NF offense, they are number 3 in the league at punts with 59. I mean, that is a lot of punts. But here's what might help them out. The Vikings are dead last in punt return yards at, I think, 6 yards per punt return. That is not good. It's not good at all. And lastly, the Bears have the 11th ranked defense TD receptions. So basically, they've only given up 20 receiving TDs all year, again for top tier in the league. Now, the Vikings, on the other hand, are definitely top 10 in the league in this. They've actually thrown 27 touchdown passes this year. So these stats here, on top of the team stats, this is the game within a game that you need to pay attention to if this game is important to you, if you're gambling, what have you, depending upon who you want to win the game. This game is what I like to call a zero-sum game. And I'll explain that in a second, but here's how to win. For the Bears, contain Cook. I mean, Cook is their workhorse. He's going to do, their entire offense is based off them being able to run the ball. If Cook cannot run the ball, then the Vikings cannot run play action. Because if you're expecting Kirk Cousins just to sit back and pick you off all day, it's not going to happen, especially against the Bears defense. Another thing for the Bears, win field position. This is a really underrated stat in the NFL and in football in general, from Little League all the way to the NFL. Win field position. Almost any team can get 25, 30 yards on any given possession. But that's a big difference if you're starting the ball, if you're starting at your 20-yard line every time versus your 50-yard line. So if I start at my 50-yard line and I get 30 yards, I'm already in field goal range. Another way for the Bears and how to win, let Mitch play and play calling. The problem I've had with the Bears all year is that sometimes they just don't let him play. Mitch can run. Everybody, if he cannot do shit else, Mitch can run. He can create plays with his legs. So for the Vikings to win, Cousins needs to earn his pay. He definitely needs to earn his pay. He's one of the top paid quarterbacks in the entire game. And as I said, a zero-sum game. What I mean by zero-sum is both teams are going to do what you expect them to do. The Vikings will run the ball, and the Bears are going to try to stop them. There's going to be a couple of good runs here, but there's going to be a couple of stops by the Bears here and there on the running game. On top of that, for the Vikings to win, establish Jefferson. Jefferson is one of the top rookies right now. He might be the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. So, and this game will be played between the 30-yard lines between both teams. And that right there goes back into field position, and that is key. So each team, in my opinion, probably won't get into the red zone very often in this game. You might get a runner here too that might get them down there, or you might get a sustained drive. But generally speaking, this game is going to be played with inside the 30-yard lines of each team. And that's just wide enough to keep both teams slightly out of makeable field goal range. So if you snap the ball from the 30-yard line, that becomes a 47-yard field goal. Is that makeable? Yes. Is it automatic? No. The game is also going to come down to QB play. As I said in the previous slide, utilize Mitch running ability. Give Cousins time to find Jeffrey. Both teams need to have outstanding quarterback play, or at least above average, to put their teams in a position to win. Also, field goals. Field goals. Now, I know during COVID that home field advantage really does not matter a lot, but the thing is, this game is not being played outside. It's being played inside a dome. So this game, in my opinion, is going to come down to a lot of field goals. Do not expect a lot of touchdowns. I say maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns per each team match. But at the same time, you might have 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 field goals from one of these teams. So special teams is going to be key in this game. So let's go to our next slide. Gambling. For those of you that are into this, gambling. Let's talk about the money. Again, I'll get my bets and my point spreads and everything like that from Rivers Casino, which is here in Illinois. So the game is the Bears are favored to lose this game by 3.5 points. So basically, if you're picking the Vikings, you need them to win by 4 points because as you can see, there's that 0.5 points or the half point right there. So again, the Vikings need to win this game by 4 points if that's who you're betting on. So the money line, that's if you're taking one of the teams straight up. So in order to win $100, with the Bears here, if you put up $100, you would win your $100 back if they won, plus an extra $147. Now that's kind of reversed with the Vikings here. For those that don't understand, you need to put up $167 just to win your money with the Vikings if you're betting on them. So that's the money, and that's the money in the spread and the money line in this particular game. The over under, 46. This is about right in this game. Yep. This is about right. Do not expect a scoring affair. Do not expect a lot of points to be scored in this game. 46 might be a little bit too high in my opinion, but I can understand why the powers that be went with 46. So let's get to our next slide real quickly. This is my goofy ass prop bet of the week. As I said, I think this game is going to be played within the 30-yard lines, but at the same time, there's going to be a couple of possessions that started inside the 5-yard lines. With that, my goofy prop bet of the week, that this game will have a safety in it. So if you have $5, $10, $15 to spare just on a goofy prop bet, take the safety bet. I did. I took $10 and made the safety bet. I think if I win that bet, I think it'd be $110 or something like that. It's $10, no biggie. I spend that, give or take, any day of the week on anything. Takeaway from this game. Bears run defense versus the Vikings run offense. That's the football game right there. Both teams will hold. Again, what I mean by hold, that goes back to the zero-sum game. This is the type of game where Dalvin Cook can have 100 yards. I'll even give him as much as 120. But it's going to be a hard-earned 120 if he gets that. Let's say he gets 120 and 2 touchdowns. It's going to be one of those games he's getting nothing but 4 yards of pop. And that's good, don't get me wrong, but he's going to take a beating in this game. Both quarterbacks for both teams need to step up if they have any chance at winning this game and keeping their very slim playoff hopes alive. Expect a sloppy game. This is going to be... It's going to be rough and tumble in the middle of the game, but expect penalties, expect false starts, expect a couple of turnovers because both teams are itching not to mess up. As I said earlier, field goals. This game will not have a lot of touchdowns scored. There will be more field goals scored in this game easily than touchdowns. And lastly, we're playing in a dome here, so I think the Bears actually would have been in a better position if they were playing outside. But unfortunately, they're playing in the dome this weekend. So that's my takeaway of the game. And here are my predictions. Cook, as I kind of alluded to this early, Cook will earn his 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. But again, it is going to be a hard-earned 100 yards. This game will come down to a fourth quarter field goal. Yep. Probably somewhere in the last 3 to 4 minutes of the game, maybe at the last play of the game. Mitch will have a good but not great game. I don't think Mitch is going to be the problem this game. And lastly, my prediction in the score, Vikings 20, the Chicago Bears 18. As I stated, I can easily see this coming down to being one of those situations where the Bears are up 18-17 with 32 seconds left, and they end up giving up a last-second field goal or something of that nature. So, yes, expect a sloppy game, but it's going to be entertaining because both teams are still in the playoff picture. So, as usual, thank you for liking my videos. Thank you for watching my slides. Do me a favor, please like and subscribe at the bottom of the page. Have a good evening.